Thank you very much. Jai Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jai Mahatma Mansa Paribhajagacharya Sakarishya Smadhati Ganga Saraswati Goswami Bhagavati Jai. Ananda Kodi Vaishnavati Jai. Ramacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Jai. Names of the whole Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakti Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Bhogavna Samkanda Radha Kunda Giri Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. नवदीप धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, द्वारका धाम की जय, स्वामी भक्तवृंद की जय, all glory to the all glory to the Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandava Pranam.
You're welcome, Prabhu.
Am I visible and audible?
Yes, Prabhu, very clear. Your network is very good.
Thank you very much. How is your family?
Fine, Prabhu. Thank Krishna.
Am I good to go?
Yes, Prabhu, please. The verse is on the line.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narautamam Devin Saraswatim Vyasat Tatodaya Mudirayet Nasta Priya Swabradesu Nityam Bhagavatam Sevaya Bhagavate Utamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Nastikihi. Hare Krishna. We welcome everyone on the platform, and we seek the permission and blessings of all the assembled devotees, most especially the senior Vaishnavas, the gurus, the sannyasis, and our counselors and guides, that will have the capacity or ability to speak something that will be for my purification and for the benefit of the audience. Thank you and welcome once again. Our reading today is from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 5, text number 3. Chapter 5 is titled Nara's Instruction on Srimad Bhagavatam. I read the sloka. Jignasitam susampanam abite mahadabdutam Hitavan Bharatam Yastwam Savata Paribrinhitam Jignasitam Susampanam Apite Mahadabdutam Hitavam Bharatam Yastwam Sarvatam Paribrinhitam Jignasitam Susampanam Apite Mahadabdutam Kritavam Bharatam Yastwam Sarvata Paribrinhitam. Word for word transliteration, Jignasitam, fully inquired. Susampanam, well versed. Api, in spite of. The, your. Maha great and wonderful. Kritavan, prepared. Bharatam, the Mahabharat. Yatvam, what you have done. Savaata, including all sequences. Paribrihitam, elaborately explained. Translation and explanation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Jaga Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Your inquiries were full and your studies were also well fulfilled. And there is no doubt that you have prepared a great and wonderful work, the Mahabharata, which is full of all kinds of Vedic sequences, elaborately explained, purported by Srila Prabhupada. The the despondency of Vyasadeva was certainly not due to his lack of sufficient knowledge, because as a student, he had fully inquired about the Vedic literatures, and as a result of which the Mahabharata is compiled with full explanation of the Vedas. Om Gyan Timirandaksya Janang Jana Salakaya Chakshuro Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaham Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Radhanath Swami Iti Nomine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Nomine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivise Sunyavadi Pastatyai Desatarine Sri Chaitanyam Nano Bhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Namo Mahabadayaya Krishna Prema Padaite Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanyam Namne Goratri Se Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kipa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanendayo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanyam Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shiva Sadishi Gora Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I like to first of all thank all the organizers of this platform and appreciate them, because the benefit that is derived by arranging this is immeasurable, unquantifiable. I wouldn't say for many other people, but from my personal experience and participation and the circumstances I'm in now in a medical setting, this seems to be the regular Bhagavatam session I attend daily. And I know how much I have gained by listening to different speakers of diverse experience. And I have only one little request. Whatever machinery we can put in place to encourage more devotees to participate, it will help them a lot. And the help will actually assist in transforming the behavioral pattern that we exhibit in our yatras. Thank you very much. So back to the text we are reading today. The first thing to note is that in a row, Prabhupada has been given short purports to the texts that have been mentioned. But that notwithstanding, there's a very deep derivation that could be achieved from this. What is that? Great things, they come in small packaging. Great things come in small packaging. So the greatness of the concept that is being discussed here will have to be given
too much.
that ultimately will be able to benefit maximally from it. The text of today is very, very significant in the life and practice of our Krishna consciousness. Why? These four texts in the 5th chapter, 1, 2, 3, 4, it speaks about Narad's inquiries about Vyasadev's despondency. And here in the Prabhupada is saying the despondency of Vyasadeva was certainly not due to his lack of sufficient knowledge, means he is already well grounded, equipped, but he's despondent. This will not be new to many of us who have been able to peruse the philosophy. Well, before Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, Arjuna was also in a state of despondency or melancholy, like Vyasadeva is expressing now. And by the time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has to instruct Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, there was also expression of inadequacy or melancholy and despondency. But this is not like it is practically referring to the individuals expressing this. It is because these people are used as role models to represent every one of us who are in the material world and are living conditioned life. They are picked as role models. Otherwise, there's no way you can speak of Vyasadeva, an incarnation of God, being despondent. There's no way you can talk of Rupa Goswami, who is a Manjari in the spiritual world, being despondent. There's no way you can speak of Arjuna being despondent, who is an eternal associate of Krishna. But because the game of Krishna is, he plays with his own people. He uses his people to achieve what he wants. So they are like role models. But the concept that is being represented in this text specifically has a lot to do with what we have to do as devotees. And so I phrase this that all scientific theories, they remain theories until verified in the scientific laboratory. Then only they can pass into law. The laboratory, or our Krishna conscious philosophy, is in the laboratory of Devotees Association. And in the scientific laboratory, the theory is H2O is a theory, is a scientific theory that represents water. But until it is ascertained in the laboratory, it remains theory and not law. The same thing in the legislative assemblies. All the bills, they remain bills and not laws until they are passed into law. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 53 to 55 reads. 53 is very significant because it tells you about what is the content of devotee association. Unless human society accept the dust of the lotus feet of great Mahatmas, devotees who have nothing to do with material possessions, mankind cannot turn its attention to the lotus feet of Krishna. Those lotus feet vanquish all the unwanted, miserable conditions of material life. Despondency is a miserable condition of material life. And so the solution is giving attention to the lotus feet of Krishna. But how is this achievable is what we should be asking. Is it easy said than done? But the doing is that the next text says, Sadhu Sangha, Sava Sastra Kai, Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha, Sava Siddhi Hoy. The verdict of all revealed scripture is that by even a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain all success. This is the scenario. Narad, a pure devotee. Vyasadeva also is pure, but the picture is painted for our benefit. And Narad Muni coming to Vyasadeva, not on invitation, not because he cried to him, but at the nick of time, which is what Narad Muni is fond of doing. From the preceding chapters we have read, you can see Narad Muni came when Dhritarashtra left home and pacified Yudhishthira. He just came in like that. And in many other instances, he comes, he surfaces. But in this same time, he has come not in other capacities, but on a very serious spiritual setting. In the book of His Holiness Bhakti Dhira Damodar Maharaj, he titled it Spiritual Connection. He came to oblige a circumstance of a spiritual connection of a disciple. So his disciple is in need. For the guru to know that his disciple is in need and comes to the disciple is different from that when the disciple is ready, the guru will be manifest. The disciple may not be an initiate, but he has strong desire to be initiated. Then he will get a guru. But in this case, there's an ongoing relationship. And so the disciple is doing the bidding of the guru. And the guru also can feel the pulse of his disciple, and it comes to his aid in the nick of time. So the next text is that the value of a moment association with the devotee of the Lord cannot be compared even to the attainment of the heavenly planets or liberation from matter, and what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which is for those who are meant for death. You see, corroborating these three creates the ambience that the devotional association, Sadhu Sangha, Sava Sastra Kai, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sava Siddhi. The word there is Siddhi. There is seed of perfection planted in the association of devotees. So you can see also ultimately as we progress, the perfection that is meted for Vyasadeva will be dispensed to him. And that is in the end what will make him more glorified. And you can see Sanatana Goswami was having the audience of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rupa Goswami had the audience of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The seed of perfection was also planted in this forum. But then this seed does not come just like that. In Gita, he said, Brahmananda Brahmeti Konya Bhagwan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasada Paya, Bhakti Lata Beach. The seed of perfection and Bhakti Lata Beach, they represent the same thing, but it is nurtured in a particular association and in a particular environment. And this environment where it is nurtured is the environment where we call the atmosphere for miracles. In Gita, Sanjaya said, there will be extraordinary powers. So exhibition of these extraordinary powers is found in the association of devotees. And the text we are reading today gives us a little bit of glimpse of what transpires in the association of devotees. There are two basic content that makes association of devotees very thick and strong. And that is what keeps Maya or the illusory energy at bay. The two things are Vaishnava Seva and Nam Seva. The Vaishnava Seva is very expansive, but take a very little bit of it. In the chanting of the holy name, the first offense is blaspheming the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the glories of the holy name. Blaspheming, criticizing, fault-finding, ill-treating devotees. So anywhere that devotees are attended to like this, the miracle, the signs and wonders, the extraordinary powers will not be exhibited because Maya is already settled. But the text we are reading, if you look at it very critically, Narad Muni is speaking, but he's speaking very choicy words. He is simultaneously glorifying Vyasadeva in this very text. It's glorification. And where there is glorification, there can be no criticism. Where there is glorification, there can be no fault finding. Where there is glorification, the illusory energy will not have entrance. Because the atmosphere we are in is Devi Dham. And Devi has free entry and free exit of every environment, except for one environment. And that is the environment where there is association of devotees. Maya tries to come, but she's not able to, because when devotees are glorified and devotees are served, Maya cannot come there. And because Maya cannot come, extraordinary exhibitions of the powers and the desires of God will manifest. So when Narad Muni arrived, the first thing that happened was Vyasadeva got up and he served him, bathed his feet, worship him like Lord Brahma will be worshipped. That is Vaishnava Seva. And here in reciprocation, Vyasadeva is speaking glorification. Narad Muni is speaking, glorifying Vyasadeva about his accomplishments, mentioning that your background is good in terms of knowledge, your studies, and also you are well fulfilled. Means there's some fulfillment. But when there's fulfillment, there should be no despondency. It means that the pursuit or the direction where we channeled our ability or competence is not where the optimum should be. That is, it got fulfilled by education, it got fulfilled by compiling the Mahabharata, and then the sequence of the expression of Mahabharata was very nice. So there was no need, but instead of criticizing him, or fault finding him, he glorified him. So the atmosphere for miracle entails not fault finding devotees, glorification of the devotees, and then expression of the power of guidance of devotee. Narad Muni is here to exhibit that. And also, in this association, we will witness the power of the association of devotees. And in the association of devotees, especially when it has to do with superiors and subordinates, it is mentioned that the devotee is served, the devotee gets the dust of the lotus feet, the water that washes the feet, and the remnant of food of the exalted devotees. This has very powerful effect on our consciousness and our progress in spiritual life. And in this association, Rupa Goswami has mentioned in the Upadeshamrita text number 4, the text number 4, he mentions Dadati Prati Grinati Guhyam akyati prichati. Bhunkte bojayate chaivam sad within priti lakshana. And interprets in the association of devotees, love is exchanged in 6 different ways. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts in return, revealing one's mind in confidence and inquiring confidentially, accepting prasadam and offering prasadam. These are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. Our concentration today is on the 3rd and the 4th exchange, which is revealing one's mind in confidence. Vyasadeva is doing this. And inquiring confidentially. This is taking place now. And the Guhya Akyati Prichati is expressed in Prabhupada's purport as an experienced devotee explains, and an inexperienced devotee learns from him. An experienced devotee explains, and an inexperienced devotee learns from him. Prabhupada said, this is Guhyam Akyati Prichati. And Prabhupada went further in that purport to say that our Krishna conscious environment specifically is set in such a way, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has been established to facilitate these 6 loving exchanges. And it goes further. ISKCON is running because of simple reciprocation in the 6 ways mentioned above. An ordinary man can fully revive his dormant Krishna consciousness. In the Bhagavad Gita 262, Prabhupada gives reference, it is stated, Sangha Sanjayate Kamam, says that one's desires and ambition develops according to the company one keeps. This is association. Shakespeare said, tell me with whom you move, and I'll tell you what you are. And Prabhupada further said that 99.9% of our spiritual progress is dependent on the association we keep. So it is often said that a man is known by his company, and if an ordinary man associates with devotees, he will certainly develop his dormant Krishna consciousness. The understanding of Krishna consciousness is innate in every living entity, and it is already developed to some extent when the living entity takes a human body. Since Krishna consciousness is inherent in every living entity, everyone should be given a chance to hear about Krishna. Simply by hearing, chanting, Shravanam, Kirtanam, one's heart is directly purified and one's original Krishna consciousness is immediately awakened. So in the end of this interaction, there will be an awakening in Vyasadeva, and in whatever association also we identify, there will be awakening. But then it has to follow the proper pattern. And when this awakening takes place, one's mind, one opens his mind to devotees, one inquires confidentially. And ultimately, certain things will start happening. And what are the things that will happen? There will be expression of the power of the Guru, the potency of the Guru. That's why I said, Mukankaro Tiva Chalam, Pangam Langayate Girim, Yakripa Tamahamande, Si Guru Dina Harinam. He said, by the mercy of the spiritual master, impossible things become possible. Rough roads, they become smooth. There's no better smooth road than the tarmac in an airport. Smooth, no contours. And the blind man, he can count stars in the sky. The lame can climb mountains. And the dumb can speak louder than an orator. So you can see the nature of the power or the blessings of the Guru. So when we are blessed by Guru, we are given ability to identify our own ability, and potentials, and also the purpose of the spiritual master's mission. Ability, potential, and purpose. Now, from what we are reading, Vyasadeva has expressed his ability, but he has not been able to optimize his potentials, and also has not worked in consonance with purpose. In administration, he said that an organization is set on 4 P's. When there is a purpose, there's a process. 4 P's: purpose, process, person, and place. There is a purpose for this scenario that is being built up here. And the purpose is the speaking of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vyasadeva has expressed his ability, but the potentials he has is not fully explored. So by the mercy of the spiritual master, he will now be able to cultivate purpose, which is the compilation of the Srimad Bhagavatam. From achievement, we can move to fulfillment, but achievement does not give us fulfillment. From the way Narad Muni spoke of Vyasadeva's pedigree, he has achieved amply, but there is no fulfillment. So if we look, what is achievement? Achievement is what I have done, and what Vyasadeva did was divide the Vedas into 4, compile the Puranas, and then also compile the Mahabharata. But fulfillment is how I did achieve goals set by us, by the Guru, or by society. It will give you fulfillment. Prabhupada himself was very fulfilled. Why? He was able to achieve the goal set by his Guru for him. If you ever have money, print books, go to the West and preach this philosophy of Krishna consciousness to the English-speaking Westerners. That was the goal. Prabhupada himself even expressed incapacitation, inadequacy of ability. But Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, I am the ability in man. I'm the strength of the strong. He is the ability. So ultimately, ability that we have is coming from Krishna. So to what extent we apply our ability, if it is not to achieve Krishna's intention, we will not be fulfilled. So there is a need for us to assess what leads to fulfillment. And to be able to lead to fulfillment, we must have very strong connection to be able to do the right contribution. Strong connection and right contribution. If the strong connection is not there with your Guru, you may strive. You'll be able to make marks, but your contribution will also be minimal. It will lead to fulfillment. So connection and contribution that leads to fulfillment is at different levels. But the purpose is working with the indwelling Lord in the heart. And working on behalf of the Lord means we become tools. This is exactly what Krishna told Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita when he was saying he will not fight. He said, these men, they are already dead. I've killed them. But I want to make you the instrument and you take the glories. So when we make ourselves available, because God is not looking for those who are able or competent. The ability we have is Krishna, so we don't have anything. But God is looking for those who are available. Make yourself available. Even if you are not able, make yourself available. Krishna and the Guru and the disciplic succession, they will do the icing on the cake. And what will be the icing on the cake? They'll put a cap on your head, along with your being available. then what will happen? You become capable, available without ability, but then adding to it, you become capable. So when you make yourself available and you walk with the counsel of the indwelling Lord in the heart, who is represented externally by the spiritual master, automatically you'll be walking on behalf of the Lord and you'll be capable. So we have to, at all times, strive and endeavor to cultivate purpose, not just expression of ability or competence. No, purpose is more valid than ability and propensity. Ability is a gift. It can be also developed and cultivated. You improve, and you're like a sportsman. An athlete can train and reach his optimum by training. But that he reaches optimum does not mean he becomes a medalist. No. He has to apply that gift of ability with humility, spirituality. We can see in Ramayana, Hanuman is very energetic, very powerful, strong. He can achieve and demonstrate feats. But there was this task of building bridge to Lanka. And all the monkeys were involving and other living entities who have capacity, opportunity to associate. One among them was a squirrel. Hanuman was moving mountains with the name of Ram, throwing them in the sea. The squirrel cannot even raise a stone. But what he was doing was, it was actually like frolicking and playing in sand. He would roll himself in sand, playing and dancing. And then he would throw the sand particles into the sea. What is he doing? Looks like he's playing, but he's working to achieve the purpose of Ram, building bridge to Lanka. So simultaneously, Hanuman, that was throwing mountains, was fulfilled when the bridge was built, and the squirrel also was fulfilled when the bridge was built. So our competence, our ability, our capabilities are as useful only to the extent that he works in line to achieve the purpose set. So Prabhupada set up the International Society for Krishna Consciousness to make the world Krishna conscious. That is the purpose. And Prabhupada was saying confidently that we will take over the world in 18 days. And the devotees asked Prabhupada, if we take over the world in 18 days, should we make you the king? Prabhupada said, no, I don't want to be king. I want to be the guru to the king. That shows the exalted position of the guru. And that is the exalted position that Narad Muni also is expressing here. Narad Muni got the Vedas directly from Brahma. Brahma got it directly from Krishna. But they maintain the status of guru to the actor. That keeps them very exalted. Even when Sukadev Goswami was speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, Narad Muni was there. Vyasadeva was there. But because of this designation of guru to the king is the actor, is the hero of the movie. But then behind every hero, there are those who are his motivators, those who are inspiring him, guiding him. Then he achieves the feat set. That is a higher position. And that is what Mahaprabhu have put all of us. Everybody has been put in position of guru. When Mahaprabhu said, Yare Deka Tare Kaha Krishna Padesh, Amara Agnya Guru Hanatara Edesa. He said, wherever you go, whomsoever you meet, talk to them about Krishna, as it is in Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Talking to people also means acting to people to appreciate Krishna. One way that is very simple that we don't take very serious is just this rubbing of tilak on the forehead. Kavichandra Maharaj was saying the other day that tilak looks very good on the African faces. That's a very huge compliment. But what if Sadachar of Vaishnava say that when you wear tilak on your forehead, once you are seen, Krishna is remembered. So it becomes part of the responsibility we have that we should be able to identify ourselves. I remember once in Port Harcourt in Nandagram, in the night, it is just part of the aura that devotees wear. People you don't see, but they see you in the dark and they say Hare Krishna. It means there's something about you that talks about Krishna. And so we should always take it seriously to maintain status quo. The hospital, the palliative care center where I was staying, I came to meet some terminal people. But then from the day-to-day conduct, chant my rounds, attend to deities, whatever food they cook, I have to offer it to my altar before I eat it. Then one morning I was going to the loo, and one of the elderly person, he has dementia problem. As soon as he saw me, he said, Hare Krishna. And I was thinking in my mind, wow, how potent the life of a devotee is. You can make somebody chant Hare Krishna without inducing him. That is powerful. They are benefited. And so the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is one good charity that devotees can do. Good charity that will make people chant Hare Krishna mantra, and that will be our contribution to society. This contribution to society may not cost us anything. It is just normal, easily done. And Prabhupada wrote in the purport of that same Padeshamrita, contributing or distributing the holy name of the Lord is a sublime example of contributing or giving charity, the Dadati principle. By the same token, one must also follow the practice green principle and be willing and ready to receive the transcendental gift. One should inquire about Krishna consciousness movement and open his mind in order to understand the situation of this material world. Thus, the Guhyam Akyati principle can be observed. So we owe responsibility to share this and make ourselves models to be able to achieve the goal. That is why you can see now Kamchandra Maharaj is very impressed with the number of the Harinam that the devotees are doing. It's expected that it should increase. The volume of the food for life that devotees are doing should be increased. And along with that is the devotee care that is also being propagated. So when this is done, you see that there will be loving atmosphere, and then the divine grace. We are answering his grace. Why are we his grace? Because there's something already imputed in us, which is the capability. But we may not be conscious of it always. And that is coming from the divine grace. So Prabhupada is the divine grace. We are grace. We are enjoyers, recipients of grace. And this grace will continue to flow if we maintain these 4 principles of loving exchange with the devotees and creating an atmosphere where people can come and know about Krishna and be able to benefit their lives and benefit themselves. That is actually the purpose that Vyasadeva has not been able to establish. Yes, he has given them some material benefits, but the ultimate spiritual benefit, which is mentioned that there is 4 Purusha Arthas. But the 5th Purusha Artha is what Mahaprabhu came to give. Love of God. Not Dharma, religiosity, Artha, economic advancement, sense gratification, and moksha, liberation ultimately. These are not the issues. When one gets liberated, you can either get liberated by realizing the super soul or you merge in Brahma Jyoti. He said that even when you go to Brahmaloka, Brahma Bhuvana Loke Puna Vatina Juna, Mamu Petia Puna Jama, Puna Jamana Vidyate. From the highest planet to the lowest planet, there are places of repeated birth and death. So if you go up, you enjoy the benefit, you come back here because whatever goes up comes down. But going back home, back to Godhead, is a different ball game. And that cannot be achieved without developing love for Krishna. That is why in all the contemporary theologies, yes, people make brag, boast, time. No contention about it. It is possible. Will we be able to go to the kingdom of God and associate with God, have communion with God? That is the big question, it's the $1,000,000 question. And so those of us who have come close to Krishna consciousness, we should take maximum advantage, make maximum use of whatever is available, apply ourselves, and function in line with cultivating the purpose of ISKCON. We should not introduce our own thing, just like he said, and then we want to follow the rules and regulation only for the sake of following. No, it should be followed for the purpose of making spiritual advancement. And flip side, even if we don't want to make spiritual advancement, we should not introduce our own ways according to our own whims and caprices. Because in Gita is also said, na sam siddhi, vapnoti, na so kam, na paramgati. If we act according to our own whims and caprices, there will be no siddhi, no perfection. We can no paramgati, we will not get to the ultimate destination. So point of safety is whatever has been set down, we should follow. There is provision for expanding our participation, but we have to make sure we have come to that stage and guidance. Like Srila Prabhupada, he followed to the letter what his guru gave him, but he made some adjustments according to time, place, and circumstance to achieve the goal of his guru, to achieve the purpose of Mahaprabhu and Krishna. So, but it is not a thing we have to imitate. We have to see that we have reached that platform in terms of our practice and approval by our spiritual authority. Then we do. Prabhupada did a lot of adjustments, which is also what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati did. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj sent sannyasis to UK to spread Krishna consciousness. But all he got from them was negative complaint. No, it's not possible. These people are meat-eater. They are this, they are that. They are scared or they are not receptive of our address. Bhaktisiddhanta went himself to tell them, you can even wear suits, even as sannyasis, to preach. But ultimately, it did not work because the empowerment was not received to achieve. So Prabhupada himself did the same thing by approving of devotees going on Sankirtan or Mufti. He approved of devotees going on Sankirtan with Mufti. Purpose is to achieve the purpose of his spiritual master. And even devotees went further. Not only will they wear Mufti, they will now wear wigs to cover the seeker. Now in our environment, this is more prevalent. It's either you remove your seeker or you wear cap. Okay? Yes, adjustments are good, but we have to measure in terms of, is it in line with achieving the purpose of the acharyas? Then we can do. Otherwise, it will not give us the desired fulfillment that we are looking for. So we have this as our input for this very, very small purport and small text that Prabhupada has given. But like I said, great things come in small packaging. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I don't know. Time is almost fast spent. But we can leave the remaining space for interactions, comments, corrections, questions and answers. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your wonderful class. Please, if anybody has a question, kindly raise your hand up and then ask your questions. Prabhu, my first question is on the awakening of consciousness you speak about. We have some spiritual organizations who talked about the third eye, opening the third eye. Is it the same thing with opening of the third eye?
Well, spiritual awakening is not the same thing as opening the third eye. Because the third eye will give the benefit of extrasensory perception. But will it give you love of God? That is the question. We are not dealing with mystical feats and achievements. We are dealing with reawakening. Love of God is not third eye. Love of God is lying dormant in the heart of every living entity. When Haridas Thakur was asked what would benefit everybody, he said everybody would be benefited by chanting the holy name of the Lord, and they will give up their material animosity. The third eye will not do that for you. So yes, third eye is a mystical feat that is achievable, but it is not associated with developing love of God. And there is no instance where we have seen that it takes people back home, back to God, for love of God does. In the forest of Jericho, even the jackal, you can imagine that's a very, very touchy environment, where a tiger is kissing a deer. In ordinary setting, what will make a tiger kiss a deer? A tiger will devour a deer. But because the power of the holy name and the reawakening of the original understanding of one nature, love is expressed. That tiger is kissing a deer.
Thank you, Prabhu. We have more questions, so I will give them space. I will come back to this at the end because your answer bring up another question. So our next question is from Yadunath, Prabhu. Yadunath, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
All glories to you.
Jai, thank you so very much for the wonderful lecture. My question is from the beginning of the lecture. In the beginning, you emphasize on the importance of association. And you made two statements that appear very strong to me. One of the statements was, where there is association of devotees, Maya cannot come in. Then the second statement was, the atmosphere for miracle entails no fault finding of devotees. So we see that in this our present time, devotees you meet, if you have a few minutes discussion with them, the next thing they will tell you is that they are not happy. They are telling of so many things going on. This one is happening, this devotee is bad, that devotee is bad. So what is going on within the devotees around us? Can you call that Vaishnava association? Because for what you are saying, when there's association, Maya cannot come in. But if we are still experiencing quarrel, hatred, fault finding, and all the rest, do we actually have association? And if we're not actually having association, then what do we do now?
Well, you are very right in your assessment, and it will be erring with caution if I say that we don't have association. We have association, but we are not having the quality of association that we are reading here. Because that is the beauty of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is said to be the compass. Those who have lost their ways in Kali Yuga, they will find it. Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavatam is telling us and showing us that between Narad Muni and Vyasadeva, nobody, the only complaint is, I've done all this devotional practice, but I'm not happy. He's not pointing hands at anybody. In the art of relieving is mentioned that it is only the less intelligent that play blame game, irresponsibles play blame game. And if you look at the emblem of blame game, look at it. Your finger, one finger goes out, 3 fingers are pointing at you. So in the association where people are always pointing fingers, playing blame game, it means they are the ones who have the fault. They have problems they are not able to identify and attend to. And the only way they can do that is take shelter of Guru, because Guru will x-ray you. This is what Vyasadeva is doing to, Narad Muni is doing to Vyasadeva. In prescribing medication, we do examination, diagnosis, then we prescribe. If this 3 is not perfectly done, it will not give the right therapy and it will not give results. So there's a lot that we have to do, but that does not mean, like somebody asked me once when I was in Port Harcourt, said there are many cases of devotees falling down, devotees deviating, and then you people are still preaching. It's better you hold your preaching, and then when you are straight, then you start preaching. You know, that is his own contribution. He's a very good friend of Krishna consciousness and a well-wisher. But I told him, that is not the approach. We have to continue preaching, because as we are preaching, one preaching or one session of preaching, we strike somebody's conscience and it will turn a new life. So the preaching must go on. The same way, the devotee association must be, the sanctity of the devotee association will be maintained even when there are incoherencies of certain misconduct. We should not allow that to bring the certain, because Prabhupada toiled a lot to be able to create this association. What happened is, many of us come to Krishna consciousness with all the backlog we have from the material society, and we come to express them in Krishna consciousness, because that is what happens in society. Everybody is finding fault with everybody. Everybody is condemning everybody, especially in democratic dispensations. So that also they bring into Krishna consciousness. But those who are serious should not allow this to deter them. They should not also allow this to make them send these people away, because by their continuous association, they are benefiting. It's just that we have to design the level of which we allow them to participate so that they don't wreak havoc. So yes, we have devotee association, but the quality that is required is not in that association. I will give you one example. Haridas Thakur was chanting. He was chanting, isn't it? Pure chanting. And Maya Devi came to allure him. So that buttresses the fact that Maya cannot come in. Haridas was bashing the rams, purely. And Maya was making all the gestures and telling you, I'm here for your sake. And this is Haridas Thakur said, no issues, just give me some time. Let me complete my rounds. He didn't chase her away. He didn't tell her, get out of here. He just got busy. Well, that's how busy we should be if we are genuine. We don't have to allow the Maya become our distraction. So he chanted first day, no attention from Maya. Second day, no attention from Maya. Third day, Maya herself said, I like this. Can you introduce me to it? So when we are serious and we are able to garner the sufficient spiritual strength, we'll be able to turn those ions that come into our fire into fire also. So yes, these things are there. I'm not refuting them. But then we also need to step up our game, those of us who are genuinely serious. And then the atmosphere can be improved. But we cannot give up the atmosphere or the environment because of this. These are all gimmicks of Maya, because Maya does not find it easy to enter the association of devotees, but she plays some tricks. She comes around, she finds some few devotees who are weak. They have their challenges. And so Maya make them play the game you are expressing now. And what happens? Their chanting start minimizing. Somebody was giving class the other day and he said, one ISKCON devotee in Vrindavan, he joined the rickshaw, and then when he came down from the rickshaw wala told him the prayer, and he got angry, and then he bashed the rickshaw wala. And the rickshaw wala got very shocked that the same person who dresses and professes to be a sadhu is this violent, that the money he paid him, he dropped it on the ground and walked away. He doesn't need his money even. That's how much he despised him. But the preacher went further to say that after this encounter, the devotee started experiencing that his interest for chanting is dropping. That's what happens. When devotees do this, their interest for chanting will be dropping. And once the interest for chanting drops, you now find out that they start minimizing. Even the service they do for devotees, they will be choosing who to serve. You can imagine even during Aarti, because of this kind of behavior, some devotees will collect ghee lamp. Either they will not give to particular people who they see as not deserving their service or respect, or they will not accept from some people. That is the kind, this is observable in our circumstances. But that is because they have made themselves tools for Maya to come in. So Maya is there in our circumstance, but if we step up our game, reinforcing Nam Seva, the chanting, and Vaishnava Seva, the serving of devotees, Maya will be at a distance. Yes, there's no gainsaying about it. I don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Our next question is from Tribhuvanat. Tribhuvanat, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. How are you?
Good, Prabhu. My voice is edible.
Come again.
My voice is edible, is hearing. You hear my voice?
Yeah, but you can increase the volume.
Okay.
Raise the volume by 2.
Yeah. Okay, the volume have been increased. Now you hear me?
I'm hearing
Yeah?
you, but you can speak a little louder. That's what I mean.
Okay, now. Prabhu, you know, my name is Tribhuvanat, and I'm your friend.
And my name is Ganga Prasad. Thank you.
So, your presentation has a lot of inputs, especially it has different points. So I want to be concerned with a question. The first question.
Your volume is low.
Yeah,
I'm not using a head. Yeah.
Sorry.
Your question is what?
Okay. I said my first question. I have 2 questions. So the first one, I want to be a little bit concerned with what the Yaduna Prabhu said. And of course, you also emphasize on that in the association of devotees, Maya cannot come in. I think that is a little bit extreme, because we see in the Shastra, you know, we see in the Shastra that a lot of time, even when devotees they're having gathering, Maya do come. Even with devotee being with the Lord, Maya also, we see how Maya, play the tricks. So, but on the other hand, I want to actually look at this Vyasadeva predicament of dissatisfaction. What is actually the implication we can derive from it? Because we cannot, we cannot categorize Vyasadeva to be on the level of Gyan, because Gyan is a level of goodness because somebody who have actually proved, written a lot, so many books he has written, and have also showed to the world that Krishna is not void, that Krishna is a person. And along the line, he's becoming dissatisfied. And sometimes we see some devotees, in the movement, ISKCON movement, apart from the ISKCON movement, in the world in general, we see some of this lamentation. That especially, let me use ISKCON as a case study. That I have been in this movement for long. I have been chanting, but still there's nothing coming forth. So this dissatisfaction it's not just always yesterday, but the point is this: what is this dissatisfaction of yesterday? What is the implication in times of devotee? What is the implication in devotional practice to individual in ISKCON? When you hear the devotee said, "I'm dissatisfied," I've been, this doubtful thought come to the devotee's mind. What is actually the implication? Is it because the chanting is not sufficient, or the reading is not sufficient, the study is not sufficient? What would be your input to this question, Prabhu? This is the question.
Yeah, my difficulty is I did not hear you well.
Okay.
Maybe I have challenge with my device.
Okay.
I can repeat the question for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you better. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
he's saying that what is this issue of dissatisfaction? He has been a devotee for long. It's not only in Vyasadeva. Everybody has the same dissatisfaction. Is it because they're not chanting enough or reading enough?
In the beginning of my class, I could clearly remember by using references of candidates for the miracle to happen. And I mentioned Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. I mentioned Vyasadeva now in Bhagavatam. And I mentioned Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in this category, it's not that these people have any deficiency. I use the word, they are role models. They are role models, chosen. They are selected to represent all the other conditioned living entities, because we're also feeling this way. So the way we are feeling has to be addressed. So they are used to address it. Not that they are cause, but they were put in the position to represent us. Now, in our own case, a lot of factors can be why we are not happy. It's like in my case, I don't want to be here in India now, I'm here. So what happiness is there? But I'm making judicious use of my stay here by my participation and involvement in Krishna conscious things. So I don't know whether I'm in the wrong place or in the right place, I'm happy. So the same way, whatever a devotee feels in terms of fulfillment, I mentioned, if you are able to understand the purpose of the Guru's mission, we classify devotees into three: first class devotee, second class devotee, and the third class devotee. The first class devotee, he knows the mind of the Guru, and he applies himself to achieve the purpose of the Guru. The Guru does not have to tell him, he knows the mind. The second class devotee has to be told before he will strive. The third class devotee, you will tell him, he will still have difficulty achieving it. There is the outside scripture devotee, they fought. They will not listen, they will not do anything. Whatever you say, you are on your own. Okay? So this is what determines what our experience is. What caliber of devotee are we? If we are not on the first class platform and we are feigning it, it will not last for long. If you are not on the second class platform, we are feigning it, it will not last long. But our real fulfillment And our advancement in Krishna consciousness comes by pleasing the Guru. That's what we sing every morning. Yasya Prasada, Bhagwa Prasado, Yasya Prasada, Nagati Kutopi. When Guru and Krishna are pleased, they can only be pleased when their purpose is fulfilled. So our dissatisfaction, our despondency should be measured in terms of how much are we achieving the Guru's purpose. I had Kavichandra Maharaj mentioning that Bhakti Charishna Maharaj has gone back to West Africa recently. Bhakti Radhamoda Maharaj will be going back soon. And maybe you should be planning to go back to Nigeria. That is the purpose of the Guru. So if you do that, you may be happier. Not being personal, I'm just quoting quotable quotes.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you.
All is personal.
Our second question is from Sukadev Goswami, please. Sukadev.
Hear me?
Yes.
All right. Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble greetings and thank you very, very much for the wonderful class. I have a question and I have a contribution based on what you said. So which one would you want me to give first?
Your question, please. You on the air.
Okay. All right. So my question mainly is regarding to Sri Narada Muni and the way at which he spoke to Vyasadeva. Basically, he was speaking to Vyasadeva and when Vyasadeva, and even though on other people that you've quoted from the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna and Sanatan Goswami, he was despondent and he spoke to the Lord that, my dear Lord, although people see me as a well-learned scholar, people think that I'm very, very knowledgeable, but it is because it is due to my foolishness that I am accepting and I am believing them. And also here in this particular text that we're reading, Srila Vyasadeva, Narada Muni, before he started speaking to Vyasadeva, was it this particular text, is it like Narada Muni being sarcastic to Vyasadeva by telling him, oh, you've done this, you know, like, you know, I don't know if you're trying to, if you understand what I'm trying to bring up, but I believe you do. But here, with the way he is responding, Vyasadeva, before he started basically telling him about the main essence, but is it like a sarcastic, like trying to tell him, oh, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this, but before coming to the main point. So this is my question, Prabhu.
Okay. In education, there's one very tool that is in the hands of every educationist. It's called method. Vyasadeva is applying method here. He's not being sarcastic. You know, it's like he says in judo, in karate, if you have a contest with an opponent and you want to defeat the opponent, what you do is you grab by the side here. And what would that do to the opponent? It will make him secrete adrenaline, high adrenaline. And once that level of adrenaline is secreted, he becomes weak. You can beat him black at that level. So Narada Muni is applying, he's not being sarcastic, no, but he's teaching us. I remember Mother Vraja Lila was speaking and she mentioned about austerity of speech. He was choosing his words. Just Narada Muni was choosy with his words. Because even in the next text, you will see he called Vyasadeva Prabhu, Master. But that is to make him comfortable, to be able to receive the ultimate instructions. If this is not learned and applied, it's like the case of Puranjana, when the same Vyasadeva went to talk to Puranjana, he painted an allegory. That is the method. In teaching, there's what we call method. The purpose of method is to make the student comprehend the content of the lesson. You have to devise whatever method works. So first is to appreciate Vyasdev for what he has done. He elate his morale, because his morale is already down. And when the morale is down, he may not be receptive. So you raise him. It's just like in the Bible, when Jesus came and he taught, he brought the beatitude. And then the people were hungry. Jesus saw that these people, they are not qualified to take this knowledge. That is also method. He kept the knowledge and he fed them. His mission of coming was different, but he applied method, feeding them first to make them recognize him as somebody who has something to offer. But when Jesus came the next time and they said they needed food, just said, no, this is not time for feeding. He said he moved them to the mount. Mount may not be a physical location, but he raised their consciousness. That is the same thing that Vyasdev has done. Raise the Narad Muni. He raised his consciousness. He raised his morale. He raised his mood so that he'll be able to give him ultimately what he wants to give him. This is my understanding. I may be wrong.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So our next
Does it
question
make sense or is nonsense?
Our next question is from Opala. Opala, I hope today your network is good. Please unmute and ask your question.
Prabhu, why don't you also accommodate the comment Sukadev Prabhu has?
It's coming
Maybe
back.
Useful to the audience.
Yeah, we take all the questions, then we'll
All
come
right.
back one.
Okay.
Opala, your question, please. When there's no question, we go back to Tribhuvanat.
Hello, can you hear me now? I'm trying to unmute.
Yeah, we are hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we are hearing you. Go on.
Okay. Thank you. At least by Ganga Prabhu's mercy, I am audible today. So,
well, Prabhu, we're not seeing you. I want to ask it. Prabhu, please hold on. I want to ask a question. Kindly on your camera, or we take somebody who has a camera.
Somebody just asked now without camera.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh. Hare Krishna Prabhu Ganga. Please accept my humble obeisances.
My guru. And when we
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, hearing you.
Okay. Ganga Prabhu, nice to see you. Thank you very much for this lecture. First, I would like to appreciate you for being able to be on the platform to render this wonderful service. I appreciate the fact that the last time you gave lecture, we were talking about farming, and you taught us, you showed us that nothing is impossible for a willing heart. You showed us that you were planting and nursing Tulsi, even in spite of the circumstances you were in. So it is very encouraging. I appreciate that. I also appreciate the fact that in spite of the situation, you mentioned it earlier, hospital condition, you still, able to come around and download these Nectarian lectures to us. So it's highly commendable and appreciable. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Okay. Now, to my little question, you made mention that Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta told his disciple to wear suits if necessary, that there is need sometimes to make adjustments based on time and circumstances for the purpose of preaching. So I am just worried about the kind of adjustment we are making, whether it is approved. Some of us today, for instance, we are not appearing the way we used to appear to preach. Even though we are seeing our leaders appearing like Vaishnavas, we adjust based on our own desires, our own likes and dislikes. So is that kind of adjustment proper? Is it approved? A little example is that I have never seen His Holiness Bhakti Dira Damodara Swami in kami dress. I've never seen him without sika. Our gurus, Kavichanda Swami. But most of us all over, especially in West Africa, all of us, even our leaders, it's difficult for them today to even carry sika. So we can say it's adjustment anyway. It's adjustment based on, but personal adjustment based on our own personal likes and dislikes. Is that the proper adjustment, Prabhu? What should we, how do we see that? What do you have to say about that, Prabhu? Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for the accolades, the encomiums. I will not want to contradict the lecture I gave. Anybody. When I spoke about adjustment, I said you must have been able to assess your spiritual growth to be able to know what kind of adjustment you make. And paramount is it has to have the approval of your authorities and guru. In my quote, I said Bhaktisiddhanta gave instruction for the adjustment. They didn't do it on their own. I also mentioned that Prabhupada gave instruction for the adjustment. Now, you can know the result of anything done. And then you can know the effect of anything by the result it produces. If by this adjustment we are making more people Krishna conscious, then we can decide on our own. But the fact is this, I'll give you a personal feedback, which you are aware. I went with Abhimanyu Prabhu to meet Alhaji Gashat in Kaduna. Late Alhaji Gashat of blessed memory. And Alhaji, I came in Doti Kuta, Abhimanyu Prabhu came in Mufti. And Alhaji Gashat was saying that you people are no longer seen in the streets. Nobody hears about you. Don't be surprised if tomorrow in the Legislative Assembly, they expunge your movement because you have no effect in society. So this is a feedback. So our adjustments, it may be suitable for us, but we have to measure what is the result it's producing. And I have emphasized a lot on working, subjecting ourselves to the purpose of the Acharya and purpose of the mission. So if our adjustment is not giving the result of achieving the purpose, then we have to do a rethink. I remember in one of the meetings we held at the regional level in Togo, we were requesting all the leaders to wear sika. And we even humorously mentioned that even if the sika is SD size means just a dot on your back to show that there's sika. Wear a sika. Okay? That is in the interest of the movement. But then if one is disposed, especially those who are not like regular full-time temple devotees, they can make whatever adjustments they want, but they should be effective in their field of display. But for those who are resident in devotee, it should be mandatory. It should be mandatory. So I am not going to cast aspersions or judge anybody, but let what we do be what we use to measure the result we get. And then we'll know whether we are happy doing it, whether the movement is increasing with this followership or is reducing. Then we adjust accordingly. But over and above all, let it be approval of the authorities and our guru. This is the way I can put it. I don't know if it makes sense or is nonsense.
Thank you, Prabhu. We go back to second question of Tribhuvanat. Tribhuvanat, your second question, please.
Thank you, Kusha Prabhu. I don't think that second question will come first because His Grace Ganga Prabhu has given me two thing to think about. He has given me his side of the version, and he has also referenced the Guru. So let me think about what he has said. That is enough.
Okay, thank you very much. Sukadev Goswami, your comment, please.
Kusa Prabhu, I didn't hear what he said. I'm not hearing him, but I can hear you. Can you repeat
No, he
what
said
he said?
in the first question you have answered all his questions. So we go to Sukadev Goswami.
All right, thank you.
Sukadev, your comment.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much. In regards to what you said, to the question by His Grace Yadunath Prabhu, and also following up what Tribhuvannath Prabhu also said, His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj wrote in the book Reflection on Sacred Teachings. He said that every activities everyone do is either a cry for love or a cry for mercy. So in this regard, he said that many a times we find ourselves in the midst of people or devotees who might be complaining or who have a lot of things to say about the movement, about people, but we should understand. We should. Hello.
I can hear you.
Okay, but he said that we should
You are
know.
audible.
Okay, he said that we should know that whichever way any devotee behave or how they are, it is either a cry for love or a cry for mercy. But also it is our good fortune as well as it is our bad fortune. It is our good fortune in the sense that we can assess the way the devotees are, the mentality of the devotees, and in this way we can better ourselves, like Ganga Prabhu said. But it is our bad fortune that Krishna has put these people around us and we have to keep hearing them complaining, because by we hearing them complaining, it also brings down our enthusiasm for Krishna consciousness. So on this level, it is a bad fortune. So this is just a contribution to what you said, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your wonderful class. I say I will come back to my first question. Then that will be our last. Yeah, for today. When you answered me, you mentioned that.
You have to open my own third eye first.
When you answer my question, you mentioned that a mystic is not love of God, that we are not into mysticism, but we are into love of God. So my question is, if we are not into mysticism, why do we sell all these paraphernalia that we used to give to karmis, to non-devotees? It's all mystic. It has nothing to do with love of God. Where are we engaged in all paraphernalia, mystical paraphernalia, soap, oil, powder, rings, kavachas? Where are we into all this?
I like that. And I will be very honest to say that I was a culprit of this in the past. But I make bold to say today I am not. Why? With my comprehension of the philosophy, I also see it as part of adjustments. I was telling my daughter a few days ago, when I just came back from India, we had a lot of Sankirtan devotees in Lagos Temple. And they will go to Oshodi, display oils, incenses at that junction. Now, that is history. Such environment does not exist in Oshodi now. But within a few months, what I observed, we lost all of those devotees because they felt they have found a source of economic empowerment. They left. So if you use that as a barometer or a measurement, you can see what is the good that this is doing to your already handy devotees and devotees to come. So that is my own deduction that I felt. I don't subscribe to this. I personally don't, because I've not read anywhere in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Mahaprabhu gave incense or oil to anybody. I've not read anywhere in Srimad Bhagavatam that this was. And I've not also read anywhere in Bhagavad Gita. So it is part of the adjustment we are saying, and it was done due to circumstance, but there is always a need to review. Our environment, people want this, but it is going to act as an attraction for them to come to Krishna. But for us, we are making money, and that money can become a distraction for us. Now, when those people come, they don't get Krishna. One good example is, I'm sorry to say this, but maybe I can moderate it. Charlie Boy was getting close to Krishna consciousness, very enthusiastically. But in the end, he became disenchanted because the zeal with which he was coming was not finding fulfillment. So he left. But the people who were cultivating him, he felt they were going to give him Krishna consciousness. But he ended up seeing that those people were trying to live the kind of life he's living, which is part of why Mahaprabhu discouraged sannyasis from identifying with royalty. Bhaktivedanta Damodar Maharaj was mentioning about Dhruvas. That was born in a Brahmana family, past life, but he admired the positions of royalty and say he was born. Otherwise, he has made greater advancement than what he did now. So selling paraphernalia may not be bad, but the result we get from it is what we use to measure. Are we making devotees through paraphernalia? And those devotees we make, are they becoming serious in Krishna consciousness? It is not about what anybody says. There's no quotable quote. The issues are there. Let us judge by the results we get.
Thank you,
If
Prabhu.
making money is... Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
If making money is the stake, Prabhupada said this movement is run by Radharani. So if we are in tune with the purpose of the movement, Radharani will supply. It's not by our own efforts. Rupa Goswami had nothing, but he was very strong in his bhajans. Rupa Goswami was not there in Krishna Lila, he was in Chaitanya Lila. But Radharani comes to cover him with her shawl when the heat is too much for his bhajan. When he had no food to eat, Radharani brings food for him. So it is the level of dependence we have on the process that will determine the adjustments we make. This is what I will say. I'm not making a straight statement of condemnation or approval.
Thank you, Prabhu. Our next question is Kavi Kanapu. Kavi Kanapu, unmute yourself. Kavi Kanapu, you raise your hand up, unmute yourself.
Sorry, I was already speaking, but I was not unmuting myself. Sorry. So I said my question is in relation to what Kusha Prabhu just asked about paraphernalia and whether about Krishna Prem and paraphernalia. So my own is that sometimes when we look into our movements from since time immemorial, when we have been growing up and we see this movement functioning, we see that this paraphernalia, even so many senior devotees who are Sayansi and Renunciant today, we see that many of them also were into this paraphernalia of 18. And the main reason why devotees go into paraphernalia is for fundraising. So my question now is that now we say no paraphernalia, and we put a devotee in a temple, a grihasta, to manage a temple. And as an organization, we don't give them salary. And for them to go and be begging for them from congregation to come and maintain their family. Sometimes you see the congregation also, they will insult them. Why are you using your money, the temple money for your family? So these people, they're just trying to find a means to maintain their family by doing some paraphernalia to help themselves. So I don't know, how can we stop this? Okay, we can talk against the paraphernalia, but if we are not making proper provision for those we have entrusted temple to manage, I don't know how this will be able to, it will be like disobeying the order of his guru. And at the same time, the guru is not making proper provision for the disciple. So how can we balance this, Prabhu? Please, thank you very much.
Yeah, I appreciate this question. It's a very nice question and it's a very critical need question. The first thing that is my observation and my take. The way Prabhupada set ISKCON, anybody can stay in ISKCON. But there's one underlying condition: maintain simple life. There's no simple life in using iPhone 11 as a devotee. There's no simple life in that.
Too much money.
You understand me? So when we make our life complicated, then our needs also will increase. I'm seeing from the eye of what the Guru wants and what Prabhupada wants. Every householder who lived in the past, even till today, they did not go because they were lacking financial maintenance, because they lived simple life. And from my own experience and interaction with Kavichandra Swami, he has strong objection to paraphernalia preaching. I remember in Apapa, he brought one oil from Port Harcourt, and he was telling me he wants to see the effect of the oil, and he emptied one full bottle of oil on me, and there was no change. So, recently now, within the last 3 days, he sent me some pages, some message of some paraphernalia that is displayed. And he was telling me, made a statement that if the devotee has to do it, as a Grihastha, nothing wrong, but he should do it in his house. Not use the temple premises for that. These are the words he mentioned to me. And so, if the householder needs maintenance, like you said yesterday, you answered me very beautifully, that we are growing now and becoming experienced, and we have to balance material and spiritual. There's no hide and seek. A householder needs a house. He needs money. He needs jewelry for his wife, and needs a key where he can lock his wife and open and come out and go. You can't do that in temple, because today you may be using this room, tomorrow they send you to another room. So dignity behooves, stay outside. But if you must live in temple, maintain simple profile. That's it. So if you maintain simple profile, contravene the temple standards because of your economic need. If your economic need is your priority, you also mentioned yesterday, when we're in temple, we are chanting, we are fired up, we are this, it's easy. But when you move outside, you know the difference between June and July. They are close, but June is the end of 6 months. July is the beginning of another 6 months. You understand? So this one, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes,
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhu. And Prabhu, sorry, Kusha Prabhu, please. And Prabhu, also you mentioned about Rupa, one of the Goswami, I've forgotten the name, escaped my mind, that Srimati Radharani provided food for. But I was just thinking that many of us, we have not reached that level that we can just only depend on Krishna. And that is why you see some devotees, they try to make endeavor. And also because of the history of the temple management, that, you know, tomorrow, just because some people may not be happy with you and they kick you out. So some people, they want to make some security in terms of money for themselves. That is why maybe some of them are going to this paraphernalia, and they can also, we are not on that level of Goswamis that we can wait for Srimati Radharani. I don't know what you think about that also, Prabhu.
No, but what your Guru Maharaj has told me, they can do it outside the temple. This is the statement of the Guru. Nothing wrong in doing whatever you like, nothing wrong in expressing what you express. But Kavichandra Maharaj has told if it is done from your house. So honorably move out of the temple and don't desecrate the temple because you want something. Move out of the temple, do it, and bring 50% of your results to support the temple.
Very good.
That is, I don't know. I'm not speaking for myself. I'm saying what the GBC, what the Guru has told me.
Yes, Papa, thank you very much. That is very practical. That is very practical. If you want to do it, go and do it in your house.
Thank you. We will have Hopala raise his hand up again. Prabhu Ganga, You have to excuse us because your class is going to be for 2 hours. We have 20 minutes more to go. We have more questions for you. Opala Prabhu is raising his hand up. Opala, please.
Achintia Prabhu wants to ask a question.
Okay, please.
Lagos.
Achintia Prabhu, ask your question, please.
Harish Prabhuji, thank you for a wonderful lecture, Prabhu. Prabhuji, I have two questions. One, actually. During your class, you mentioned about empowerment. Although all devotees, some or other, who have Krishna consciousness in our hearts, but everybody have a particular mission that is meant to do. So my question, Prabhuji, is I want to know the empowerment, is it coming from Shri Krishna or the spiritual master? Then secondly, the question, second question beyond it is that the empowerment that Prabhu you mentioned, is it that the result of our past life that make us qualified to have such empowerment, or is just the constant mercy of the spiritual master to empower us to do some things? For example, Srila Prabhupada, as mentioned, his God brothers has gone to UK and different countries to try to preach Krishna consciousness, but it didn't work out. He came back with a bad result. But Srila Prabhupada, he has gone. The same empowerment that the same instruction the spiritual master gave to him, it followed, and today we have Krishna consciousness everywhere. So, Prabhupada, is it that Prabhupada was, in his past life, meant to receive such empowerment, or is just by the constant mercy of a spiritual master? I would like to know, Prabhupada. Thank you very much.
All right. The first thing, thank you very much, that's a nice question, is that the spiritual master's empowerment is not different from Krishna's empowerment, because the spiritual master, if he's bona fide, is a bona fide representative of Lord Krishna. So whatever he gives is just like the demigods are giving gifts to give to us for doing sacrifice. But he said that that gift of the demigod is actually coming from Krishna. So the spiritual master has no independent empowerment. It is Krishna's empowerment. But like you asked, it can be because of our past life. It may also not be, because Krishna does not consider anything to do whatever he wants to do. In Prabhupada's case, there is no record or reference that he's basking on his past life credits. But in this present life, Prabhupada got not just double portion of empowerment, multiple portions. Prabhupada was empowered by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But while Prabhupada was staying in Radha Damodar temple, he was always contemplating to be blessed and empowered by Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami. And he said that Rupa Goswami was not physically present, but his samadhi is in Radha Damodar temple. Rupa Goswami appeared to Prabhupada in his room and told him, write these books, print them, and go to the West. We will take care of the rest. The word is we, meaning he's not alone. And that is what Mahaprabhu said, you will always have my association. Is accompanying that statement wherever you go, whomsoever you meet, tell them about Krishna, and then become the guru, save the land. Say, you will always have my association. So the empowerment is Krishna's empowerment, not independent of the guru. And in case of Prabhupada, Prabhupada had multiple doses of empowerment. That is what makes him distinctive. And you can see how distinctive Prabhupada is. Prabhupada's God brothers are the ones who went to Europe and could not establish the purpose of their guru. Prabhupada did not come to Europe himself. See the level of empowerment. Prabhupada sent his own disciples, and not just disciples, Grihastha disciples, are the ones who went representing Prabhupada, who is the representative of his guru, and they break grounds. You can see the level of that empowerment. So, yes, It may be part of our past life, but the thing is, Guru has a purpose, and Guru's purpose is Krishna's purpose. As long as it is within the line of the purpose of Krishna being fulfilled, Krishna will dispense of the volume of empowerment that we require.
Thank you, Prabhu, for wonderful answer to all the questions.
I like to add something. Now, there's a little bit of snack, is a snack on our heart. When we are coming to Guru, and we are coming with the confidence that we have these capabilities, these abilities, and these potentials, is a big error. When you come to Guru, what is said in the dynamics of Guru disciple, you come to Guru empty. Even if you have everything in the past, you come to Guru. That's what Rupa Goswami, that was Sanatana Goswami, they taught us. I don't know anything. Now feel me. If you come with the ability, the knowledge that I have so much, nothing can enter you because you're already full. A full bucket of water, you cannot add any other water to it. But when the bucket is empty, you can put water. So we should never think that we have capacity. We should only depend on the Guru to open us to what our potentials are. That's what Vyasadeva is receiving in this very class.
Thank you, Prabhu, for wonderful answer. We have more questions from Yadunat. Yadunat, please unmute. We'd like to see your lotus face as you ask your question.
Kusa Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Kusa, you guys should not forget that I'm a patient in the hospital. Don't overdose me.
We are never tired of hearing. According to the sages of Namisaranya, we are never tired of hearing. So it's not our fault. Don't be angry. Okay. Yeah, do not, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Jai Prabhuji. Gora Prem. Please, I will still have to take my question back to this paraphernalia issue. I was discussing with one Indian man some time ago about Srila Prabhupada and this ISKCON. So he told me that Srila Prabhupada is a very good businessman. That Srila Prabhupada identified the right market and he took his product there. And that was the West. So we see also that in our temples in India, they produce incense right in the temple. Some of the temples, they have their where they produce their incense and they sell this incense in the temple. And I know also that in ISKCON, there was this spiritual sky. And we came to know also that some of our gurus partook in selling this product in the past, this spiritual sky product. We also know that right now, we also have the Shimadev oil, which they sell in Mayapur, which is always out maybe once in a year. And this oil never have any single remnant. People always buy everything all. Now, in Nigeria, why I gave that example of market, I started with Prabhupada. Number one, we don't have enough members. So even if we want to sell incense, like even here in Benin Temple, since I entered this temple, not one single member has come to the shop to buy incense. So here, people don't buy incense. If the temple produces incense and sell, it might not move so well. So some people decide, okay, let us make it oil or soap. So is it that this product being produced in Nigeria is the problem, or selling these things at all is bad? What I'm saying, because now we saw that we sell incense in ISKCON, we sell oil in ISKCON, spiritual sky product, all these things were all there. Kabachas are being sold in ISKCON. So what is the problem with selling oil or soap as a devotee?
The problem has already been mentioned that it is done by people who want to raise funds. If the fund is raised for the temple, to maintain the temple, and the people who are the clientele, they are also attracted to Krishna consciousness, perfect. But if we are giving these items and the people don't become attracted to Krishna consciousness, we have to make a review, check it, because the original intention of those spiritual sky and all of these places you mentioned was to give tadia, paraphernalia that is associated with Krishna, to generate sukriti for those who access it. You know, like Slakshapa is saying, we are giving initiation to devotees, not necessarily that they will become devotees in this lifetime, but we are planting seed. They may be in next life. So if that is the consciousness with which you are giving it out, it's okay. But if we want to make ourselves like native doctors or voodoo priests and want to make money, you can imagine how much bill certain devotees demand from some clients that is neck breaking, and they run away. So we have to see our intention, because nothing is wrong, nothing is bad. It is the intention that determines it. So if we are, our mission is to make people Krishna conscious or stimulate their Krishna consciousness, whether it is incense we use, whether it is book we use, whether it is whatever we use. If we achieve the result, okay. If the result is not achieved, let us check, because I know the volume of soaps that have been sold there in Nigeria. I know the volume of oil that have been sold. And I want to measure it with the number of the people who have become devotees or favorably attracted to Krishna consciousness practice. You just mentioned in your place now that people are not coming to buy incense. Will you blame them? If they don't have need of incense in their house, will they come to buy incense? If somebody is not doing puja in his house, what does he need incense for? It means that your preaching to that person has not stimulated worship in his house. So you still have a lot of work to do. Maybe you have to reevaluate your approach. That's it. If you are making people devotees with the oil and the incenses, wonderful, do more of it. But I stand on the point that I have my own reservations. I have my own assessments, my deductions, and I cannot tell anybody no, I cannot tell anybody yes, but the result will prove our intent. But my leaning is that Kavichandra Maharaj, by all my interaction with him, has not said no to paraphernalia preaching, but he's not feeling satisfied that the temple is misrepresented by it.
Thank you, Prabhu. You have heard that Prabhu is sick, so we take last question from Kaduna, from Deva Rishi.
I'm not sick, please correct that. I'm not sick. I say I'm a patient.
He's a patient, please. we take last question from Devarishi to let Prabhu take rest. Devarishi, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much, Swami, for your wonderful class and clarify so many points raised by selling paraphernalia and all those things. What I wanted to understand is in ISKCON, all over the world, there are devotees who are, what I really want to get is that many years ago, some devotees were selling paraphernalia and doing all sorts of things that were not able to bring devotees, make devotees. But what I wanted to understand is that were they trained in that particular platform to do all those things, or they were just doing it for maybe trying to concoct things, add things together to create soap and all those things, or they were specifically trained to do all those things? Because in ISKCON, we have astrologers, we have devotees who are doing palmistry, we have devotees who are ghostbusters, we have devotees who are doing all those psychic things. So how can a devotee who have this as a profession can be able to do all these things in a devotional environment that people will not see it as juju or see it as a different thing? That's my question, Prabhu.
Okay. we are still on the same issue, and the issue is very easy, very easy. Prabhupada used 4 words. He said, books are the basis. Preaching is the essence. Utility is the principle, and purity is the so what is Krishna conscious atmosphere, they function based on this. Our pattern of preaching is defined. Prabhupada said, our main business is the books. Our family business is books. Now, if we add other things, like you said, there is a need for training. Part of the challenges is lack of training. Even in many services that are done, people are not trained, they are just put there. So they make all kind of blunder. But Prabhupada emphasized training. There should be training. It is difficult to train an animal. It requires a lot of sacrifice. Training is required. Now, when the devotees are trained, they are not giving one-sided training. They give him holistic training. Nothing wrong in being an astrologer, but if you're being an astrologer, or a psychic or whatever, and it kind of alters the ambience of the sanctity or purity of the temple atmosphere, nobody stops anybody from doing it from a distance, from your house. You can stay in your house, do whatever you want to do, come to the temple associate, and Upadeshamrita Rupa Goswami and Prabhupada said, give 50% of your income from that to the temple. That will show the genuineness of your intention. But we can see in many cases, people do, there's no turnover, nothing comes to the temple. But the temple facility is cost intensive. Water costs, electricity costs, rent costs, all of the feeding costs. It is cost intensive. But people can have skill. There are many people who are doctors. Like here now, I'm in Bhaktivedanta Hospital. We have many doctors. Those doctors early in 1987, they were at crossroads. They liked the Brahmachari ashram type of renunciation, simple life. So they wanted to leave their medical practice and join in the temple. When they asked the guru, take note of this, ask the guru. So we must ask the guru, that's the point. They asked the guru and guru told them, no, don't give up your medical practice to come and live in the temple. He said, do your job and then practice Krishna consciousness. So these doctors, they were going from village to village doing medical camps of different sorts. And that is what has given birth to the Bhaktivedanta Hospital today. They are working in the Bhaktivedanta Hospital, but they are living in their houses, living their regular life. Because we cannot eat our cake and have it. Ashram life is very sweet, it's easy. For regulative principle is easy to follow in the temple because there's nobody who will sell cigarette to you. Nobody will sell intoxication. Nobody will sell meat in the temple. But when you go outside, that is what is all around you. It's tempting. That's when you really know your strength. So if we're in temple, he said, if you are in Rome, behave as the Romans do. If you're in Rome, behave as the Romans do. And how do we know Rome? From the authorities. How do we know how to act in Rome? By approval of our guru and our authorities. So that is the reality. Training, yes, is important. But if the mainstream of Krishna conscious practice is not aligned with this, it's not wrong. There are devotees who are doing many things, but from their home as grihastas, there is nobody who have right to come and check your house, what you are doing. But if you have shot yourself in the feet by living in the temple, then you have to oblige yourself to function according to temple atmosphere. Like I was saying, like Chandra Maharaj was telling me, he didn't say it was wrong for a grihasta to do mystical things or paraphernalia things. He said, but temple atmosphere should not be used for that because temple has its own ambience. Temple has its own status quo. So if we are insisting on doing, nobody will tell you what to do. But it's just that you have to shift grounds. That's it.
Thank you, Prabhu. We have to close the class for today with a last comment from Paribrajaka Maharaj. He said, Mandandapal Pranam to you, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Your answers are very deep and profound. In fact, the questions are perfect and the answers are also perfect. It is very dear to me that Africa is emerging as the savior of this world, Brahmananda, through the distribution of Krishna consciousness wholesale. Hare Krishna. That's a comment from Paribrajaka Maharaj.
Thank
So
you
we
very
kindly
much.
ask our devotees to unmute yourself and let's chant Hare Krishna to Prabhu for coming. Whoever has gone, kindly unmute. Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
As a comment from Paribrajaka Maharaj.
Thank
So
you
we
very
kindly
much.
ask our devotees to unmute yourself and let's chant Hare Krishna to Prabhu for coming. Whoever has gone, kindly unmute. Krishna. Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama